Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated Legacy action. Today I am playing some Rug Food Chain again. This is a deck that I fell in love with quite recently and I've bought in paper and I'm really enjoying it, and I just want to keep innovating in the space and tweaking things and getting more practice with it. So I thought I'd show you lovely people some more Food Chain action. It's also not a deck that you see a lot of online because there's a lot of clicking, but I get to edit that out for you so you don't have to deal with that. So yeah, Food Chain. This is a 3-mana enchantment. You exile a creature you control. You add X mana of any one color, where X is 1 plus the exiled creature's mana value. So we can only spend that mana on creature spells. Squee, we can cast from exile or graveyard. So this plus Food Chain is infinite mana of all colors. Obviously on Magic Online we have to click through it, so it's a little bit hassle. But this is the combo, infinite mana. What we do with that infinite mana is we pump it into a Walking Ballista, which then shoots our opponent for lethal damage. We can also just have a Questing Druid in play an infinite number of Squee and attack with our massive guy. We can also pump the mana into a Hydroid Krasis until we draw our deck, and then we Walking Ballista. And we can, just cast normal spells and do normal things, right? We can just cast some creatures and kind of try and get there by just having this big mana advantage, just hard casting Furies. Fury also being a pretty good thing to evoke and then bring back, and then sack to the Food Chain. So that's pretty cool. We are an Imperial Recruiter deck. This kind of does all the things we want, right? So this Imperial Recruiter, it finds us Squee to give us infinite mana. It finds us Hydroid Krasis or Walking Ballista to use our infinite mana with. We can also find little things like Questing Druid or Ice-Fang, that sort of jazz. And today we are playing a one-of copy of Aether Channeler. This is something I felt I wanted in the last league I played. Now, it is a 3-mana 2-1. Not great into Orcish Bowmasters, but we're not playing it for a 2-1. We're playing it for the ability to have a tutorable card that will bounce a non-land permanent. So we just have a main deck way of dealing with any permanent in play, get it out of here, and then maybe that lets us combo off or whatever. The other modes are still fine, drawing a card, creating a bird, and this is also an additional blue card to help with our Force of Will count. The Force of Will count the last few times I've played this has been a little bit low, so I just wanted to add one more. We've cut a Fury to make room for the Aether Channeler, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. We can also play the fair game, we've got cantrips, Questing Druid, Uro, Lightning Bolt, Fury. These are just good cards, and it's all backed up by Force of Will. So we can, and quite often do, just play a pretty fair mid-range strategy. Sideboard-wise, I've gone down on the Veil of Summer to get back this third Fury that I definitely still want. So it's jumped from the main deck to the sideboard. And the other tools we've got is a tutorable piece of Graveyard Hate from Imperial Recruiter, a couple of Endurances, just as good beefy bodies against some decks, as well as, more Graveyard Hate. But we just want the one that we can shoot it for with the Recruiter. Got some Pyroblast and Hydroblast. There's Goblins, there's Murktide Regents, there's all sorts of stuff we don't want to mess with. We got a Maze of the Moon and a Collector Ouphe as some nice little silver bullets we can find with our Recruiter to shut down decks. Carpet Flowers against all these decks that are trying to smash our mana base, although our mana base is pretty resilient, to be honest. I'm not sure how much we need Carpet Flowers in this deck because we do have 4 basic lands, which is an awful lot for a Legacy deck, especially a 3-color one. But there's Snow to help with our Ice-Fang. So maybe this is something we're looking at today if we want this. And then we've got a couple of Force of Vigor and a Veil of Summer for obvious reasons. And yeah, that's about the deck. I'm absolutely in love with this deck at the moment. I've recently got my food chains in the post, so I'm looking forward to playing a paper event. Not that I get to them as often as I would like. All right, remember to like and subscribe, and let's get to some sweet, sweet food chain action. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? All right, welcome to round 1. Our opening hand is fine. We'll keep this. We just need to find a Squee or an Imperial Recruiter, and we can just combo off here. But we have Questing Druid, pretty good at finding us our combo pieces. It can delve and get us some extra cards to do. So we're probably going to be playing on basics to begin with. So we want to maybe start with one that fetches a Lightning Bolt. So if this one is fetching Mountain, this one is fetching Forest, this one is fetching Island, or yeah, this one has to fetch the Forest. So we just need to keep track of what we're doing with our fetch lands here. Depending on the matchup, we might just be wanting to get non-basics, but we'll see what happens first. We have a Lightning Bolt to interact on turn 1. All right. Volcanic Island and pass. So this could be Delver or it could be Show and Tell. I'm more expecting Show and Tell because they didn't do anything with their mana. So we're going to want blue mana here. I think we'll play the Scalding Tarn. So we also have to keep in mind that we want red for Squee. So fetching just basics could be a little sketchy. So we're going to see what our opponent does, and then we'll fetch accordingly. A polluted delta and nothing else. Interesting. I think we're going to play on non-basics so that we don't get caught up. I know we said we're going to play on basics, but they haven't shown us anything yet. And we're going to need red, like I said, for Squee. So then we're going to want a Volcanic Island. And this one can get us the Trop. And we can get red off of this when we need it. And we will seek the beast. Do love how good Questing Druid is in this deck. It does everything we want. Okay. So we have the things we require. So this turn for us is Volcanic Island into Imperial Recruiter. This might be good enough for a counterspell from our opponent, because they don't really know what it's going to get, but they might think, oh, we can counter the thing that it gets, which would be a mistake, because the thing we get, we can cast from the graveyard. They don't necessarily know that, and our deck is pretty fringe, so they might not be familiar with what's going on yet. Obviously, if they have counterspells, I can point them at our food chain, and that's pretty good. If our opponent does a show and tell, we can put in the Aether Channeler, and if they've got a creature, we do just immediately bounce that creature. But if it's an Omniscience, that's obviously pretty terrible news for us. Alright, we are not looking at show and tell then. We're looking at an Orcish Bowmaster's deck. Okay, so this could be Grixis Control, or it could be a slow Grixis Delver style hand, Grixis Tempo. We'll see what materializes. A Brainstorm from our opponent, sure. So I'm not really sure we're going to be able to resolve this food chain straight away. So we need to consider that when we're playing our next couple of turns. We can pitch the Squee to the Fury as well if we want to, and then we can just cast that from exile. So something like a Stalactite Stalker here would be pretty interesting. So they're going to attack us for 2, and then nothing else interesting. So this could just be another Bowmaster's being held up. What do I think is likely to get some... So if we play this out, we have a Lightning Bolt we can fire to grow this in response to a Bowmaster's, because we're going to cast this Fury and go ping, ping, and I think that's okay. So let's see what they do. If they really want to kill our Questing Druid, they can try and flash in a Bowmaster's now. We do have that covered with the Lightning Bolt, and this can be an infinitely large creature next turn to kill. We also have infinite mana for our Walking Ballista, so as long as we can resolve our food chain, we'll be okay. I'll put more on this. I don't think they're playing a little friend there to grow it. Right, so we've got ourselves a Lightning Bolt. If this becomes like a game of attrition with like not very impressive sized creatures, then Squee can actually do some work just as a guy that's really annoying for them to deal with. So we've got Lightning Bolt ready to rock and roll. Let's see, a Fatal Push. I will hit the Bowmasters with a Lightning Bolt here, because I would very much like to have access to cantrips and stuff so we can try and get a Force of Will on the go. Or something. Or, you know, find another food chain. Just something to get us through what I assume is our opponent's counter magic. A Baleful Strix. Don't see that every day. Alright. So, what is our plan here? Force of Will is pretty good, truth be told. Alright, I think we're going to send this. This should be difficult for our opponent to answer as well once it's in play. And the composition of our opponent's deck doesn't make me believe they have a Daze in their deck. Right, here's the Force. We will Force back, as is tradition. They got another Force. Or are we in here? Alright, so next turn we have our Infinite Combo, which is not a bad way to play the game. They can't waste us off red if they do have Wastelands, because we can go and fetch a red source with our Misty Rainforest. And we're getting to the bit where it's very miserable doing online compared to playing in paper. And if I'm having this much fun playing this deck online where I have to click through it, imagine how much fun I'm going to have when I start playing this in paper at tournaments. Alright, we're going to take 2 damage here. Plague Engineer. That's pretty good. But we have solutions to this. Or do we have solutions to this? Right, we have this Walking Ballista in hand right now. So if we play a Walking Ballista for 1, we can ping this. No, it needs to be for 2, doesn't it, to ping this? So if we play this for 2 now, we can ping this down and then play our Goblin. Alternatively, we could cast this Imperial Recruiter, use that mana to then Walking Ballista. But then we're still going to be... I guess it depends what we find with the Imperial Recruiter, doesn't it? So this is 3 into 4. We've gone through our... Yeah, we've gone through the bounce guy. We pitched that to the Force of Will. Alright, I think we're just going to play this Walking Ballista. And we can ping down the Plague Engineer. And then smash our Squee in next turn. Make infinite mana. Go and find a Hydroid Krasis. Basically draw our deck. And that should be pretty good. We can draw most of our deck. Have all the counter spells in the world. We also can have some lightning bolts going off. All sorts of jazz. There's a swamp from our opponent. We're going to have to go about in a weird way, but the card advantage we're going to get off the Krasis next turn should be more than enough to win this game. Because we're just going to, you know, draw half of our deck probably. And just have like a massive one-shot creature that also gains us a bunch of life and just puts enough resources in that we should be cool. Orcish Bowmaster's clearly not our best friend. We also can just pump a load of mana into this Walking Ballista and just manage the game by pinging down their little guys. That's another option. But Food Chain doesn't give us mana to put counters on Walking Ballista. It's only to cast creature spells, not to activate creature abilities. I Snapcaster Mage. Is this going to be Fatal Push or Brainstorm? Fatal Push, sure. That's fine by me. Let's ping this guy down. Let's ping this guy down. Alright. Brent's got one card in hand. If it's good old-fashioned counterspell, then we're probably going to have a horrible time here. So Orcish Bowmasters, that's not going to be the best for us. Let's cast Squee. We get to cast it again if this doesn't work. Petty Theft. Okay. That's fine. Got the other land. We get Taiga. Also get Trop. Just get all the pretty lands. Cast this. And now we do the clicking bit. So I'm going to skip for you guys and for this one. So once I've done clicking or something happens, I will let you know. I'm going to cast the Imperial Recruiter now, just so our opponent can see what's up. So we're going to get this big Hydroid Krasis. Right, to save my clock, I've decided to do it for X was 34. This is pretty reasonable. Set this guy, cast this guy. We're going to then put the Fury into play as well. We'll kill their board here. Do we need to do anything else here? I think we're just going to go to clean up now so we can just save time on this turn. I'll get rid of this. Get rid of fetch lands. I don't think we have any fetchables left in the deck. Get rid of Ponder. Alright. Our opponent has one draw here, and then we get to bash them with loads of guys. If we were on paper, we would have just drawn our whole deck pretty much and won, but we had to take into consideration the timing, but we still got there. Alright, so we're looking at Grixis control. So, Pyroblast, Hydroblast. I like the Magus of the Moon here. Endurance is fine. Veil of Summer is good here. They can play around Carpet quite effectively, so I don't think we want that. Fury is kind of good for all their little bits and pieces. So there's like a selection of stuff here that we're kind of interested in. So I don't really like the Ice-Fangs into this matchup, if I'm being perfectly honest. And if we're getting rid of Ice-Fangs, we probably need to get rid of Force of Will because we don't have the blue cards. And that's 61 cards. So that's pretty close to where we want to be. What would be the cut here? I do still like having the Channeler. Uro is a pretty big game. Do we need these Hydroblasts? I don't think we need the Hydroblast. I'm trying to think what we actually are using Hydroblast for. It's going to be like countering... Yeah, maybe we don't need the Hydroblast. We're going to have a Force... No, Force of Will doesn't seem like it's going to do a lot of work here. That's what, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's not going to be enough. I think having an Ice-Fang is just better than having the one Hydroblast there. So we're going to use Pyroblast and Veils instead of Force. And yeah, seems good. Alright. Our hand looks pretty reasonable. We can give this a whirl. So we're kind of looking for a Magus of the Moon plans here. There is a Ponder. So pondered without a shuffle. Sure. We're going to get ourselves a basic island this time, I think. Now the mountain's a bit awkward for casting this Uro. So it's worth keeping that in mind. But we definitely want to get a ponder down before any Bowmaster shenanigans happen. I do like having Questing Druid. I don't actually want the Brainstorm here in the face of potential Bowmasters. So we'll put the Questing Druid on top so we can draw that next turn, so it's saved from any discard. And the next time we can fetch away the Brainstorm, because we have card advantage without using the Brainstorm. Well, Brainstorm isn't just card quality anyway, so we don't need to get into that. So this has to fetch us a non-basic, is the only problem if we're trying to seek the beast this turn, whilst getting rid of that Brainstorm on top of our library. But that's okay. We can go and get a Tropical Island. And that leaves us not too far away from Uro either. Our opponent's just playing land pass. Nope, we've got some movement over there. Let's see what sort of movement this is. A Snapcaster Mage for the Ponder. Sure. Are we supposed to Questing Druid in response? No, because they might know what they're trying to answer potentially. So I think we're best to wait until after this is resolved and go to their end step and then do the Questing Druid. We need to be pretty careful with our clock here. I chose to shuffle. So let's go and get the Tropical Island. No, sorry, it can't be Tropical Island. It has to be a red one, doesn't it? It has to be the Taiga here. It's either the Taiga or the Volk. I think it's the Taiga. Let's seek those beasts. This is worth a counterspell, perhaps. All right, was this an Aether Channeler, a Veil of Summer? Not a great selection, if I'm being perfectly honest. We can just cycle this Aether Channeler and just keep the train rolling on cards. Do you want the Snow basic? It doesn't help us cast the Uro. Is the problem. We could go and get a basic forest this. We might as well save it until we have a chance at brainstorming as well. Okay. I would like to draw a card, please. A Ponder. That's acceptable. Ponder from our opponent, sure. Now they've seen Veil of Summer, they're probably going to be very wary of any green sources we hold up, even though that's our only Veil of Summer. They don't know that. They chose not to shuffle with that Ponder. They're going to Bowmasters and ping down our Channeler. That seems sensible. And now what? We take 2. So Ponder looks less good. Food Chain is interesting. I think we jam the Food Chain here because we have a backup one as well. I'm imagining this gets a Force of Will. Did not get a Force of Will. That's really interesting to me. So we technically can go off next turn to an extent, right? We don't get to... We can make an infinitely large creature, which will die to a single fatal push. So they might have a Petty Theft and they'll bounce the Food Chain in response to a creature coming into play like they did last game. Makes the moon lines are looking less good as time goes by. Okay, they're just bouncing it now. Sure. Pyroblast. That is an interesting one. What is our strategy here? I think we play out this Questing Druid for green and blue, holding out the Pyroblast. We can play out our Mountain. We don't really have a 2-drop apart from Seek the Beast here, but that's fine. So we can grow this to a 3/3. So we have the ground sort of stalled here. So if we Seek the Beast and then Pyroblast, that's not good enough. That's pretty awkward. All right, that guy can go away. Ideally, we're sort of trying to draw into a Fury, so we can just sweep this board up nicely. I don't believe I'm supposed to Pyroblast this yet. But I think we are supposed to get our Forest and Seek the Beast now in case we find a Lightning Bolt. We did not find a Lightning Bolt. We found another Questing Druid. So this damage is certainly going to add up. Tropical Island. So this is going to come into play end of turn. We have an answer for that. We kind of need to force some action here. Which one is on an adventure? That's on an adventure, and that one is the one that we could Seek the Beast with. But we have to Seek the Beast this turn if we want to do that. So if we cast this, then I guess we Seek the Beast here. Get a counter on our Questing Druid. Orchid Bowmasters here. Could be pretty awkward for us. But we're trying to find a Fury. We did not find a Fury. We found a land. Do we want to play the Scalding Tarn? I don't think we do. The 1 life is actually relevant when they've got so many X1 bodies. Imperial Recruiter is not something we get to cast this turn. I don't really want this ponder to happen because of their Bowmasters, so I guess this is where we're at. So they're going to put this Brazen Borrower into play. Right, they're going to Lightning Bolt our guy. That's not great news for us. Do they have a Force of Will here? They do not. Okay, so we're not dead. So we can fire our combo next turn. We can Food Chain into Recruiter. This gets Squee. We make a load of mana with Squee. And then I guess we're trying to cast Uros at that point. We can make an infinitely large Questing Druid and do some stuff with the Uros. So we can play front and back side. Or Escape is casting, isn't it? You may cast this card, yeah, so it does work. They chose to shuffle their library. That's like a minor spot of good news for us. Brainstorm. That's not really where I want to be, is it? Right, let's go for this Food Chain. Sauron's Ransom. All right. Force of Will and 3 other cards. And we'll give them the Force of Will and 3 cards. They took the Force of Will. Sure. Like, if we put the lands, they're not going to take that pile. But we might have baited them into taking the pile of 3. Right, so I'm going to force this one. Sure. So now our strategy becomes... make this Imperial Recruiter. And hope that we don't die next turn. What are we supposed to find here is the next question. If we can get another Recruiter. So we can just fire Food Chain and this. We could just get the Squee and just have lots of mana and hope that whatever happens next turn is good. That's probably our best bet, isn't it? Any removal spell beats us here. So let's hope they don't have one. We only have a few minutes to win this next round. This next game if we go to one. Right, there's a removal spell. Let's go to game 3. So I think the way sideboard is fine. We just didn't quite get there. I still don't think we want the Hydroblasts. No, I think we just go in here. Alright, we're going to have to be F6ing our opponent's turns quite a lot here. Alright. This hand is not great. We need to find a red source that to work. Okay, this hand is okay. We can keep this. We've got a game plan. What are we throwing back here? Probably one of the Furies. So we want to fetch a red or a green. No, we're going to need to fetch non-basics here so we can have a hope of casting our Uro. It's unlikely we're going to have to Pyroblast anything turn 1 here. When we can pitch this to the Fury later on. Underground Sea, no other play for our opponent. Imperial Recruiter, that's a nice one to have. So we're looking for another land. We can drop an Uro in. They might have a Bowmaster. It certainly feels like they've got one over there. A Brainstorm. Okay, I guess we pass because we don't want to Brainstorm into this guy. So play your Bowmasters. Or we're just going to play the Bowmaster dance. That definitely benefits our opponent. They're Brainstorming. Alright. I think we can get one snow-covered up basic here. And then work around the others. Magus of the Moon is nice. We didn't hit a land though, so that sucks a lot. We're not going to need this other Fury, I don't think. I'm probably not going to need this Recruiter for now. Kind of want to get on the Euro train. Let's crack this. So this one has to be Tropical Island. If we want to cast this Brainstorm right now, which I think we do. That's a bit awkward, but it is what it is. Alright, so we found 2 more lands. That's handy. And one of them is a red land, so that's also handy. So I think we put Food Chain and the Uro on top. And then we carry on. So we don't have a green source once we have our Magus of the Moon in play. But our hand doesn't really need... I guess we have the Uro, but we're not really casting the Uro. We're just kind of relying on this Magus of the Moon doing some work. But it depends what our opponent fetches with this Bloodstained Mire. We have seen lightning bolts out of them. So the Magus of the Moon isn't just like lights out, but it might be able to pressure them a little bit and let us get in a fair win. With like Magus of the Moon, Fury and stuff. Right, we need to F6 turns as much as possible here. We are in the red for our clock. Ponder from our opponent. We don't have to worry about Bowmasters this turn, so I'm perfectly happy to cast this Uro on top of our library. And we do have the requisite cards for it. So maybe we can just get them with a fair Uro plan, which is often quite difficult for these black decks to deal with. Molten Collapse does help with that. No, that's a new card they have in their arsenal, which does work against it a little bit, but it is going to come back at some point. But they might have Cling to Dust as their way of getting rid of it. I took the Fury, that's interesting. I'll play this out so we can have an untapped red source. They know we have this untapped red source, so there is potentially an option of hitting this on the front side so that we don't have access to Bolt or anything. Right, so we're going to draw a food chain, put this land in. So we're looking to draw a red source or a blue source or a green source, basically a land, so that we can hold up this Pyroblast to force our Uro through. Brainstorm from our opponent. I'm not going to Pyroblast that. We're trying to use our Pyroblast to resolve our creature. So these fetch lands mean that our Magus is probably unlikely to do anything anyway. Find a land. We did not find a land. Alright, we're still going to cast this though. Green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pyroblast or something. It's annoying, it means we have to start rebuilding. But we have another threat. We're only 1 mana away from casting. Right, we might be seeing a Bowmasters here. So we can at least get a free bit of pinging going. There it is. So they might have a Pyroblast as well. So they're going to let us draw a card, grow their Bowmasters, and then Pyroblast this once it's in play. So what land we find, if any? No land. Okay. Go ahead, opponent. Over to you. I'm going to F6 this turn because we basically have to. We can Lightning Bolt away this Bowmasters. Fatal Push. Yeah. Okay. It will be back at some point, but do we have enough time to do that? So this is probably going to be a Thoughtseize or a Ponder. Let's see how aggressive they're going to be. They're going to go for the Thoughtseize here. So Magus of the Moon does nothing on this board now. So I'm going to take this Fury that we've drawn, because they took the Fury last time. And the board state is similar, but Fury is even better than it was. I don't think they can allow us to have this Fury. Yep, they agree. And we take 3 damage. That's not a lot. I think our biggest threat is our clock, really. Okay, so we drew this, did we? Okay, we're going to play this guy out. This kind of hurts us more than it hurts them, but we're basically using this as a removal spell. We have 2 red sources now, so we can Bolt and Pyroblast. Like, if they use cards on this Magus, that's fine by me. A Molten Collapse. Sure. We're always going to be killing this guy anyway. I suppose we could have done this differently and saved the red mana so we can actually Pyroblast a counterspell here. I think that's a misstep from us, but we are under the gun a little bit clockwise. A Fury. Do I think this Fury is going to resolve? I don't know. I think we've got a turn to figure that out, so we're going to play this food chain in case we draw a land, so we can play the Fury with Pyroblast backup. This might get a response from our opponent. Use some of their resources. And hopefully we can just stick this Fury next turn, kill their stuff, and then ride that over the course of 2.5 attack steps. Or 3 attack steps, if you will. This would have been a great turn to draw a cantrip, considering our opponent didn't have any Bowmaster mana available. We can't just completely F6 because of the Pyroblast. There might be some world where we need to, like, stop. Like, if they do a Brazen Borrower here, I will. Yeah, I will Pyroblast this. Okay, I'm going to crash him for 4, put us to 11. Hopefully we draw a red source and we can protect our Fury. Time on our clock is not being the kindest to us. Alright, I don't think we Pyroblast this. Again, like I said, we're just trying to draw a red mana source. So any fetch, well, not any fetch land, right? No, actually any fetch land because we've got Taiga in the deck still. Or a mountain, or the Taiga itself. Actually, do we have another volcanic? We don't. But any fetch land can find a Taiga. Our opponent's clock is catching up to ours, though. But they are very much in command of this game right now. Yep, we'll just take it. Surgical Extraction on Uro. Yep, that's annoying, but it is what it is. So that's our best fair plan out the window. We're only 30 seconds behind on clock now. Another food chain. Do we have time to take 4, or do we have to send this? That's a tough call. I think we have to send it now. We at least gain some S6 value from this. What are we just in here? 3 and 1. Which means if they play a Bowmasters, it doesn't do anything. Alright. F6 value. Sweet, sweet F6 value. Right, there is a Baleful Strix. First strike is pretty good against the old Death Touch out there. Right, we're going to tax. Right, we're going to Questing Beast in our Seek the Beast in our opponent's turn. Right, let's seek those beasts. So if we find another one, we can go next turn. Okay, sure. Got some stuff. Play this. Let's go to tax. We could Pyroblast this, but we get to win another turn anyway. And this first strike will eat it up. Right, let's cast this for green and blue. Let's cast this for red, blue, green. We've got Pyroblast up here. Go and fetch a... Is it Walking Ballista? Probably is just Walking Ballista. We don't need infinite mana, we just need a little bit of damage to kill our opponent here. I don't really want to have to click through that Squee loop. Alright, we got the match. Whew. That was a very hard fought one, but we managed to get there. A pretty great game all in all. And yeah, love this deck. Let's go to round 2. No lands in this hand, so let's mulligan that one. All lands. Am I keeping Ice-Fang Lightning Bolt? Or going to 5? I think I'll keep this. Not happy about it, but it is what it is. Well, if our opponent goes to 5, I'm more inclined to mulligan here. And look for a cantrip or a Force of Will. Alright. If they're a combo matchup, and they just go on turn 1, then we're just doomed anyway. Alright. Goblin Rabblemaster. Pretty happy to see my Lightning Bolt in my hand right now. That's a pretty good draw too. Play this out. We won't Lightning Bolt this immediately. In their main, when they want to leave their main phase, then we'll bolt this. Because if they do something like a Sticker Goblin here, we want to blow it up with the trigger on the stack so they don't do some really gross things. And they might have a cavern here. So we just get the most amount of information before we act. Alright, down the Bugbear. Another Goblin Rabblemaster. What are we doing if we're countering this? Like, I think we have to counter this, but it's not great. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why did it not give me an opportunity to bolt their guy? That's really annoying. Did I accidentally click the step? That's really annoying. Yeah, so we're going to take an extra 1 damage over multiple turns here. That's really annoying. Thought I had to stop there. Okay, so I guess we're playing a fetch land and we're hoping that we can draw some action. Well, we've managed to interact twice with our opponent. So that's something. They haven't shown us if they're full goblins or if they are prison. So hopefully we'll get to see some more cards from our opponent if we lose this one. Shadow Skull. So far all of these cards can be in goblins. Unless it's hers. Okay, so we're probably on prison here. Yep, they're eating our stuff. Fair enough. Gonna need some help here, deck. Food chain. Like, I guess we're doing it. We'll get the Taiga here, so we have lots of colours going on. Like, we'll show our opponent what we're up to a little bit, even if we lose this game. But it does mean that we can have some pretty good draws. Like Imperial Recruiter with this on the battlefield is pretty good. We'll have 5 mana, so we can Imperial Recruiter for something handy. Squee Dubious Monarch. Yep. It's a Squee mirror. We're running different squeeze though. Alright. We're going to struggle a little bit, I think, from here. We need a good draw this turn. Imperial Recruiter, that is one of the things I said that I wanted. Now we have to work out what we're doing with this. Easier said than done. Alright. No Plague Engineer in our deck, unfortunately. So Ice-Fang isn't really going to do very much here. What does our Squee do? Not a great deal. We can play Hydroid Krasis, so for 5. So we can do X is 3, so we can cantrip and get the biggest guy on board. That's probably acceptable. So this has to make green mana. Another land, that's exciting. Not the draw we were hoping for. We at least have a 3/3 that can get in the way of this Squee, but they can crew their hearse next turn after making it a 4/4. And then yeah, this gets a little bit sketchy for us. Yep, so crewing the hearse here. Coming in the Squee or not? Or is it just the hearse? Alright, they are coming in with the Squee. So this is 4, 5, 6 we take this turn. So I think we block this Squee. And the next turn it's not looking great for us because they're going to just go wide. So Kenzen, sure. What is our plan here? We have infinite mana. How useful is infinite mana right now? I'm going to go with not very. But it is an infinite blocker. So if they don't have a creature this turn, then we take, block that, we take 2 and go to 1. Or they attack with 3, we take 2. So either way, as long as they don't have a creature, we only take 2 here. So Rabblemaster, or is this a Shatterskull for 1? Feels like it's a Shatterskull for 1. That would win them the game here, right? Because they kill this attack for 3. Now, if we can draw a Fury this turn on our next turn, then that's going to be pretty good. They're coming in with all of these. All right. So Recruiter or Walking Ballista is also game over. Blood Moon. Honestly, that's fine. Yep, you can exile our Squee, but we can cast it. Unless there's a horrible bug in here. A Lightning Bolt. Yes, we can cast a Squee here. So we can play this out. We can cast this. Red, red, 1. Holding up this Lightning Bolt off the Tropical Island. We can't really attack yet, though. But we have a bunch of draws that just automatically win us the game. And Squee can chump Unlicensed Hearse every day of the week. We've got a Lightning Bolt if they play something that needs bolting, like a Broadside Bombardiers or a Rabblemaster. We have the technology. If they can't actually activate this because they're in Blood Moon, so that's one less threat to worry about. We have green mana for creatures. The only spells we want to cast that are green are creatures. So we're okay because we can just make green mana this way. Crewing the Hearse, sure. We can just do this little song and dance every day of the week. Oh, why don't I like to look at this? What is this? Chalice of the Void, where X is 1. So we're going to cast our spell in response. We can bolt the Hearse, so they can't attack this turn. That leaves us with a Squee, but we don't really care about the Squee dying this turn. So I think we're just going to bolt this and maybe shut off future Unlicensed Hearse activations. So we can't cantrip. Would you like us to recast our Squee? You would like us to recast our Squee. It doesn't have trample or something? No, good. I was 99% sure it didn't have trample. Alright. There you go, Squee. Back into the graveyard where you belong. Uro. Okay, this is alright. So we cast this for red, red, red. Then we sacrifice this a few times. Lots of clicking, so I'm going to cut to when I put the Uro on the stack for you. Alright, I'll put the Uro on the stack. Draw a card. We'll put this into play. We do not get to reanimate this now. We can't use our Brainstorm, so we got nothing. Alright. We could start chipping away with little bits of damage, but we can come unstuck from Haste Guys very easily here. Our Broadside Bombardiers is lethal, and we can't beat that. But again, Imperial Recruiter is nice. If they don't attack with this Unlicensed Hearse, okay. That's not the one we wanted. Okay, let's play out another land. I was going to say if they... So they're going to remove our Uro now. That's fine. We can't attack with our... I suppose we should be attacking with our Squee actually, shouldn't we? And then just replaying it every turn. That's a mistake. But they just animate the Hearse, so we're kind of... Actually, no, they can't even animate the Hearse. Okay, we just dead to this. We missed a couple of points, some points of damage there, but it didn't end up mattering. They can sacrifice the Hearse and shoot us for 4 there. Alright. Hydroblast seems pretty good against the mono red deck. I would like some Force of Vigors as well, please. Magus of the Moon is not useful here, but the Fury is. Do we want anything else? Alright, Force of Will is pretty important in this matchup. The Ice-Fangs are actually good. Questing Druid is fine. Like, Endurance is a reasonable guy, but I don't think that's good enough just to be a reasonable guy. So what are we looking at trimming here? We've added 2 blue cards, so we can cut 1 blue card if we want to. I do like Aether Channeler to get out from underneath some stuff. Maybe we're less on the food chain here, and we're trimming like a Recruiter, a food chain. I think we can trim these. Krasis is still fine. The Uro is okay, but less good when they know it's coming. Maybe we'll trim a couple of Ponders. Just trim 3 Ponders because our opponent's probably bringing in Chalices, and if we get stuck with those in our hand, it's not going to be great. Have I trimmed too many blue cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 blue cards is about the minimum. I think that's acceptable. Like, we're kind of like a base red deck in this sort of matchup a lot of the time. We're just trying to bulk stuff, play Furies, that sort of thing. Well, we only have one land here, but we have a lot of stuff. We're kind of relying on this Brainstorm to get the work done. That could be a disaster for us, but I think you've got to swing for the fences sometimes. I believe in the power of Brainstorm to fix our hand. Our opponent's mulligan to 5, but if they just go like Chalice on... Oh, we're on the play actually, so we will get our Brainstorm. So, yeah, this hand is fine to keep. We can hold up Lightning Bolt or Brainstorm, and then go from there. Right, there is our Volcanic Island. City Traitors. This feels like a Chalice. It is. I will cast a Brainstorm in response. Are we Brainstorm locked? No, we are not Brainstorm locked. That's exciting, isn't it? So that means we're probably throwing back the Hydroblast and the Bolt. We'll draw the Bolt. It's our red card for Fury. Alright, we have options. We're probably doing a Questing Druid because it's more likely to find us the second land because it gets us 2 cards deeper. A Chalice for 0. Sure, that doesn't impact my deck. Broadside Bombardiers. Right, we will go and get a basic Forest and then cast this Questing Druid or this Seek the Beast. Because if we find an answer that we want to use, we can use it then. Force of Vigor. I'm certainly not unhappy with that. Let's blow these 2 up. And what are we going to pitch for it? Is it Questing Druid or is it Ice-Fang? It's kind of a tough call. I think it might be... I think it's the Ice-Fang here. So we get to play Snow-Covered Island and we can play a Questing Druid and bolt this Broadside Bombardiers. Let's play this. Play Questing Druid. This one. Play the correct one, shall we? Let's bolt this guy while we're here. And now we are ahead on board in most metrics. Unlicensed Hearse. This does not do anything here. That's not to say it's not going to do anything forever, but I think we're just going to attack with this and just do some Seeking of the Beast in our opponent's turn, because we'll have more information about what we want to find with our Recruiter depending on what our Seek the Beast hits. So they're going to gobble up some cards in our graveyard. This is probably not going to be an Uro game, and that's fine. Right, no play from our opponent. This helps us out a bunch. Time to Seek that Beast. Card is so fun. Big fan. Walking Ballista and Uro. Interesting. So Food Chain would be a good draw here. Alright, let's scoop it up. They've seen enough. I appreciate that from our opponent. Yep, I think we just roll back in. Seems like a pretty good way to approach this game. Maybe we'll trim 1 Uro. Like, Uro is very good if they don't have the... Uro's good if they don't have Blood Moon or... Yeah, they need to not have Blood Moon or the vehicle. Are they still running Blood Moon is the next question. I guess it's still a blue card that we can pitch. I think it's still fine. It's still fine. Ah, right. We have the same thing that we had before. This time we don't have a cantrip to bail us out. But what we do have is double Fury, so we're not dying. So we might have time. I am reluctantly going to keep this one. If they challenge us on turn 1, that's obviously a pain. Here it comes. Yep, sure. Okay, like we can still use our Furies. It's just a line of bolts pitch to those. We need to draw some mana. A Goblin Rabble Master that we cannot immediately kill. Understood. Right, so this is going to get killed by Fury next turn. Pitching our Lightning Bolt. Unless we draw... Okay, we didn't draw. I was about to say. Okay, so let's Fury, pitching a Lightning Bolt. Sweep up those guys. We can fetch a basic island, but we probably have to fetch a red source here so that we can use our Seek the Beast. But if they play a Blood Moon, we end up in a bit of an awkward choice where we probably have to go and get... We get the island and then we use this for the red, actually. That seems acceptable to me. Do they have a follow-up? Or they have multiple follow-ups and they're just tanking about which one is going to be the best to smash our face in with. Broadside Bombardiers. That is a guy, for sure. We don't have a blue card in hand, so there's no point casting Seek the Beast now. This is going to give us a little love tap. Right, so we need to get a red source. It probably needs to be a blue source as well. And there's probably a green source actually looking at our hand. It's probably a Taiga. Then we will seek those beasts. 2 lands. So we only get 1 of these. One of them is a basic, so I'm not unhappy about that. Right, we will deploy a food chain. Then we'll evoke a Fury. And we'll make some green mana. Kill that guy. And then play this Questing Druid. It's only a 1/1. But it's something. If they play a Broadside Bombardiers, that's obviously going to be bad news for us. But maybe if they throw the Chalice at our Questing Druid. We are 1 card away from winning the game. We can draw one of our 3 recruiters or our Squee. So we've got 4 cards that immediately win us the game on this current board state. Things can obviously change in our opponent's turn here, but that's pretty nice. Also, those 4 cards will be a Blood Moon. And if we get to untap, we can put this Misty Rainforest in, which will find us a basic island. So we'll be completely insulated from Blood Moon at that point. Chalice for 0. That doesn't do anything. Obviously, our opponent doesn't really know that. Broadside Bombardiers. Okay, so they're going to throw this at our Questing Druid. I see. I see. All right. Our opponent's taking a bit of damage, though. So if we can, like, rally a threat at some point, we'll be okay. That is not a threat. This is access to a blue source, though, through a Blood Moon. This is one of those situations where an Uro would be very good as well. All right, let's crack this. Uro no longer good, which means we're about to draw one, unfortunately. Let's get the Snow-Covered Island. So we have all of our colours, but they have a Lava Axe that can throw at us as well. So it's getting a little bit dicey. This Brainstorm doesn't work. So this is 4 plus 5 is 9. So we're not quite dead, but we're also not really alive either. Do I want to play another food chain out? Does it make a difference? No. It's a green card for Force of Vigor, which unlocks our Brainstorm. Going to be a tough one to come back from here. But Fury very much does it for us. A Chrome Mox. What 4-drop have they got here that they're really desperate to play? Cave of the Chaos Adventurer? No, they're just playing it to fling with Bombardiers. Sure. That makes sense. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. So we're not dead. But we will be next turn if we don't find a Fury, basically. Yep. A little Simian Spirit Guide. Now will be a lovely turn to draw a Fury. Come on, deck. Hook me up. That's not it. GG's opponent. Alright, so we're 1-1 now. Let's go to round 3. Alright, this hand for round 3 is fine. We've got a little Force of Will as a little breather if we need the room. We've got a Brainstorm to fix our hand with. This all seems acceptable. We could just go into an Uro plan. Cavern of Souls. Okay. Force of Will line doesn't seem great. This is on Goblin, which doesn't bode well for us because we could be dead this turn. Alright, we're not dead this turn. Relief. Alright, deck. What is your plan to help us win this game? It probably involves a Brainstorm, so we'll play our land that can fetch a blue source and try and Brainstorm our way into a combo. Combo can race this. So if they go for something like a Sticker Goblin this turn, the Muxus they try and cast off it will be counterable. Right, 3 free damage. That's less clicks we have to do later on. I think we allow this Chrome Mox. Is that a Matron? Sure. It's uncounterable 3-drop. A Broadside Bombardiers. Yep, that's pretty good. That means we can't play a 2-drop and just try and immediately combo on turn 3, so you probably need to combo on turn 4 here. I don't think we're Brainstorming this turn. I think we're Brainstorming next turn because that 2-drop line isn't available to us. Okay, so we do have a turn 4 potential attempt here. So I guess we play another fetch land. The life loss from these fetch lands is not inconsequential. So go and get ourselves a Volcanic. So we're going to need red at some point perhaps. Let's do this Brainstorm now. Not a great exciting one, is it? The Euro might be able to buy us time, although I don't think that's going to be the crucial factor. We've got this Questing Druid. Yikes. So we're probably putting back a Forest. And is it an Uro or is it an Ice-Fang? Is it Force? Let's put back a Force. Alright. Not feeling great about this one, but we'll see. Alright, there's the Matron. We can't counterspell that one. Are we going to get Lava Axed by this Matron this turn? Throw it to the Bombardiers. They are. Okay, I think that's the correct play. Puts us to 8. That's not a lot, is it? So we'll crack this. Fury is good here. Get a Trop, and the other one can get another Volk if we want it. A Walking Ballista. So we have them dead next turn. How do we survive a turn? How do we survive a turn? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So any creature with haste kills us. Activating our fetch land kills us. Oh, that's not the one, is it then? So if we crack this, so if we play this guy out, we can block here. If we play this guy out, block here, that's actually something. But then how are we winning next turn? We're not, right? But this, the other option we have here is Seek the Beast to try and find a Fury, which we probably should have done before playing our land, if that's the case. If we play Food Chain, we die, right? This is 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll be on 6. So we cannot play the Food Chain. If we play the Uro, we go up to 9, and we take 3, 4, 5, 6, and we go to 3. But if we don't have another land drop, we're not really getting towards winning the game. We're in the same position next turn. If we play this guy out, we could draw a Fury, and it keeps us alive. If we play Seek the Beast, we could be alive as well. We know what they Matron for. They Matron for another Matron, so that's just a Lava Axe, right? So we do need to hit Fury this turn. So we're going to cast Seek the Beast here. We should have done this before playing our land out. Okay. We have one option. It's try and find the Fury. Oh dear, oh dear. Kind of there, but also not. So we're just dead on board. Alright. An unfortunate one, that. So, please can I have a Fury and Hydroblasts? These seem like a good start. Our opponent might struggle. They might be bringing in like Chalice and things like that. So maybe we want these Force of Vigors. This is an option. We want to keep our removal in. We want to keep our creatures that block. I think Uro is too slow in this matchup. As sad as that is. Aether Channeler is not great, but can bounce like a problem permanent. So I think we probably do have to keep that one. What are we trying to do here? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 blue cards. We can trim one Ponder. And then I think we're probably trimming one of each of these combo pieces. Maybe Questing Druid is too slow. Actually, maybe that's the thing. Although it does give us the ability to dig into Furies. That's a tough choice, actually. Oh, I think I like the Questing Druids. Maybe that's wrong and we're supposed to just have our other combo pieces in. But our combo isn't necessarily fast enough here. Like, if we're on the play for that game, then we maybe win that one. That's how tight the margins were. Alright. I think this is acceptable. We'll keep this. We can lead off with the Ponder. I like the Fury. I like the Hydroblast. I like the Misty Rainforest. Alright, so we're going to put them all like this, I guess. It's just kind of damage control, really, for the first few turns. And then, hopefully, when the dust settles, we can start making something of ourselves. Basic Mountain, and no play from our opponent. That's a surprise, and one I'm grateful for. So we can Brainstorm if we want to. Like throwing back Force of Vigor is something I'm interested in here. Glitterfang. Is that what it says? Glittering Caves. Right, I think I'm going to Brainstorm here. I don't really want this Force of Vigor. I don't mind having this Squee. It means if we draw into... yeah, if we draw into Food Chain, we can just go. Which means we've got to put one thing back. It's probably the Force of Will, and we're just going to use our Hydroblast. It's going to come down. Crack this. Go and get ourselves a Taiga, is it here? A Taiga, the other one gets a Forest. No, it needs to be... We have multiple red pips to use here. Are we just burning this guy now? I don't think so. Alright, the snow-covered island. Let's play it out like this. We can see what our opponent does. If we need to hit a sticker goblin with our lightning bolt, we can do that. Okay, a city of traitors. A goblin ringleader. I'm going to say no to you drawing lots of cards. Do I care about this 2 damage? I don't think it's enough for me to worry about right now. I'd rather save this to hit a sticker goblin or something. So, what are we doing here? We can just jam a Squee. So this can go and get us a volcanic. We can play out this tropical island. Just play a blocker. It does take us off of the... This does take us off of the lightning bolt though. In which case I think we're supposed to actually just play this Imperial Recruiter out instead. So we're probably just getting... Is it the Walking Ballista, or are we just getting some other card advantage? We can just keep playing recruiters and just kind of turtling up a little bit. I don't think that's where I want to be. Get the Questing Druid. Like, Walking Ballista can destroy a reasonable amount of our opponent's things. This is where I'd like something like a Morlock in our deck that we don't have. Is Ice-Fang where I want to be? I don't think it is. This is a tough choice. Maybe it's just the Questing Druid. Yeah, I think it's the Questing Druid here. We can just hardcast a Fury next turn, so we're probably more on the fair line. And we did board down on our food chains. Just a little guy. Okay. Gonna let that colourless mana burn off. They are. So we have a very clean Fury here. So I'm more than happy to do that. That turn we'll take the 2. Another lightning bolt. So our opponent could cast a Muxus next turn anyway. But I think we're just going to cast our giant lad. Let's get in there. Bam, bam. Then we'll go and serve for 1 damage. Next turn we can seek the beast and hold up double lightning bolt. Or, well, we can hold up double lightning bolt, and if we don't need them, we can seek the beast. So that turn was a pretty good one for us. Fury does just help us out of so many spots. A ringleader, okay. This is big news. Okay, sticker goblin plus broadside bombardiers. Those are problems for later. But we have 2 lightning bolts, which is a good number of lightning bolts to have. Our opponent not doing anything makes me think they do have the Muxus though. This is not where I want to be. I think we do need to try and get this game won, so I will be attacking with my Fury. There's an argument for playing the Aether Channeler there just as another blocker or another card draw. But that locks us into... That stops us from being able to do Lightning Bolt and Questing Druid. It's either Bolt, Bolt, Channeler, or Bolt, Bolt, or Bolt, Questing Druid. So I think that's probably the best. Okay, so name sticker goblin, we say no to this, I think. Shoot this for a delicious red mana. So they won't get the mana off of this. And they're squeezed for red mana. They can bash us for 2. That takes 7 on the backswing. Cavern of Souls. Alright, goodbye City of Traitors. You're going to play this broadside bombardiers? Or not? They are not going to. They're going to attack with their ringleader. This is an interesting one. Because we can seek the beast. But that stops us being able to lightning bolt if they do have another sticker goblin. And they're just trying to bait us through interaction. So I think we take the 2 here. We are currently the beatdown. But that can obviously change at a moment's notice. Seek some beasts. We've got mana to put a Ice-Fang into play here. A Force of Will. That's not really what we wanted. A Brainstorm. That is... yeah, let's Brainstorm. Okay, so we'll put back a couple of lands. We'll play this Misty Rainforest. We'll shuffle. Get another Volk. Cast a Ponder. A food chain. What does this food chain do? We make infinite mana. We bounce this. Yeah, we have a kill here. If our opponent doesn't have any interaction. Oh my! I clicked the wrong way. Oh my god. Well, that's a frustrating one, isn't it? Oh, we just. Oh my god. There is no undo function on ponders, and that might cost us the game. Play this Questing Druid. Green. One of these. Go attacks. Bash with this. Yeah, we had the win there, because all we do is we make infinite mana, then we play the Aether Channeler to bounce our Recruiter, and then we use that to find the Walking Ballista, and we win the game. But I clicked the wrong order on the Ponder, so there we go. This could be a Muxus, and we could die to it, and that would be sad. Although we can snipe down a Sticker Goblin if they need that for the mana for the Bombardiers. Not Bombardiers, the Battlecry Goblin. If that's how they're trying to attack and kill us this turn. And Broadside Bombardiers that we knew about. Sure. And grow our friend. So they can't attack with this Ringleader because they're dead on the backswing. We can bounce this and kill them. Do I think our opponent has Pyrokinesis? Possibly. Alright, they're scooping it up. If they let us resolve, I might draw a card instead. But they just scooped it up. Alright, so that felt pretty good. We just kill all of their guys. Yeah, I guess I like killing all of their guys. Do we want any Euros? Definitely feels too slow. Do you want more combo options? I don't think so. I think we're just going to go back in. I'm not sold on these Force of Vigors, but it feels like our opponent could be doing Chalices. And we do have cantrips to try and avoid them and shuffle them back in. Okay. We've got removal, counterspell. Then we keep this. Now, if our opponent has a Cavern and just wrecks us, then so be it. A Chrome Mox. Are we counterspelling a Chrome Mox here? No, I don't think so. I think we're going to try and hit the guys and then choke them down on resources that way. A Goblin Matron. Let me counterspell this. Get things out of the way while we can. Alright, we'll play this thing that allows us to deploy a Hydroblast. A Goblin Warchief. That's fine. That's not my fight. He's got 2 cards left in hand. A Questing Druid. I like that one. That allows us to keep open some options. So if they have another land, they can try and put Muxus on the stack. Here it is. Counter target spell if it's red. Get out of here, Muxus. Take a little bit of damage from this. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. Hydroid Krasis. It's not really what I'm after, is it? So I think we'll play this and we'll hold up the Questing Druid, the Seek the Beast, and then we can go from there. Broadside Bombardiers. Alright, I think we crack this. We want a red source. I don't think we want a basic here, so it's probably just the Volcanic. So we have double blue. It's very unlikely, but we could have a Force of Will here, and that would be an acceptable thing to spend on. We could hit our other Hydroblast as well. Force of Will. Alright, I will get rid of this in a clean way. Do I want to... Yeah, I think it is just sensible to do this. I'm going to take another 2. Like, our life total is taking a little bit of a battering, but our opponent has been losing chunks of their life total. I don't think this is what this warrants. Okay, that's an excellent draw for us. So we get to play green and green for our Questing Druid. We're holding up in this Lightning Bolt. And I think we just fire this off right away. This means if our opponent finds a mana source, they can't put a Muxus into play. If that's what they have in hand. Alright. Ancient Tomb taking a big hit. Okay. They found the mana source that does let them do that. We need them to not hit a Sticker Goblin and something that gives them haste. Okay, this is not the worst. Would love to find a land. That would be our best draw here. Eat this, take 2. Can we draw a land? We did not draw a land. You can make infinite mana. Yeah, we can do quite a lot here. Alright, let's begin. So let's sacrifice this for triple red. Let's cast this. We go and find Squee here. Is that right? This already makes the Fury. But we can have Fury and Squee in play. Or we could have Fury and Ice-Fang. I think it's a Squee here, right? Maybe our opponent gets bored and scoops up. Who knows? Alright, I'm going to click through this and I'll let you know when things change, so I'll cut to that. So, we have a choice here. We can either kill the Muxus, is probably the safest thing here, and then we can like shred everything else down. Because this will have to attack and the other thing will have to attack. And obviously we don't care if Squee dies because we can just play him every turn anyway. So we're putting up a pretty good fight here. And if they tap an Ancient Tomb, they are dead if we can attack through their guys. Broadside Bombardier is obviously a nightmare for us if that's what they have. A Ringleader. Okay, this will have to attack this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have another Ringleader and nothing else, right? Channel's Void. Sticker Goblin is what they have here. Okay. So these both have to attack, along with their little guy. So if we find any removal, we win the game. But the margins here are not ideal, but we can live with them. Right, so this eats this, this eats this. Goblin on goblin violence, when will it end? We can obviously just recast the Squee whenever we want, because we have a red mana off of this. Questing Druid. That's a really interesting one, because this could be the game right here. Alright. I think we go for the Questing Druid here. Would be fine. We found the lightning bolt. Excellent. Let's bolt this. Oh, we need to go and fetch a red source first. Alright, we beat the big bogeyman of the format that is goblins, so pretty happy about that. We are 2-1, cruising along nicely. These games take a little while, but they're quite rewarding. Let's go to round 4. Alright, we're on the play. I don't think I can keep a one-lander without any cantrips. Alright, this is better. We can keep this. We'll throw back a land here. Which land are we throwing back? Misty Rainforest. So our hand here probably wants to play on non-basics. We can do an emergency brainstorm if we need to, which we might do because it looks like we're about to get reanimated. No, plains. Interesting. Aether Vial. Don't see one of those every day. I don't think it's worth me trying to brainstorm and get a counter spell for that. Like, our burn spells are probably just going to be very good against what our opponent's doing. Getting non-basics might be awkward because our opponent's probably like full-on death and taxes over there. Rishadan Port. So we could brainstorm now, but what are we brainstorming for? Another land. Alright. I'll reluctantly get a basic island. I think we have to. It's just awkward. They can't flash in a Bowmaster because they don't have black mana. Alright. We can play the game. Is this going to be an Euro matchup? I don't believe it is. So we'll put that on top. Do I want this Aether Channeler? We can reset their vial and annoy them. That sounds like a lot of fun. Is that worth doing? Or do I want to just crack the fetch here? I think Channeler's fine. Sure, you can put that down. Okay, so we can get one of each of our base. We've also got a... Right, are they putting something in here? Mother of Runes. Get out of here. So I think we have to get the mountain here. Play around Wasteland. Makes Uru harder to cast, but Uru's not very good against the white removal deck as a general rule. So I'm okay with that. They will have main deck removal for food chain in the form of Skycap Apparition, so that's something we have to consider as well. We get imported? No, we're not getting imported. That's interesting. Are we bouncing this Aether Vial? Like, it's annoying for our opponent, but it's not even that good for us. So this can get us our basic forest. That's fine. Are we going to bounce the Aether Vial, or are we going to draw a card? I think I'd rather draw a card, to be quite honest. We can kill a Bowmasters if they flash one in here. It's shown us to fetch land, so I'd be surprised they didn't have a black splash. Alright, we drew another land. Not what we wanted to be, but we do have removal for their next threat. I think I'd be happy if this Channeler was a Fury, which is what it replaced. So maybe there's some learning there to be had. What do you got here as a 2-drop? A Thalia. A Stoneforge Mystic. Let's see what they get. And then we'll bolt this down. Give me a big Cauldron. It is. Alright, so we're going to go get a red source. Probably wants to be a blue source. Doesn't really matter. Land is something we don't have problems with right now. Get rid of the Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, so we answered their Mother of Runes and their Stoneforge. Obviously, Mother of Runes we had to answer because it just means that we can't answer anything ever again. Gone to fetch the Scrubland. There's the Marsh Flats. What next? Okay. They're not porting us either. Interesting. Right, we'll just attack with our 2-1. We can put in some 3/3s that might be a little bit scary, but... sure, you can tap down the forest. We're going to get Tropical Island. Put food chain. Because we've got a second one, we don't mind if they Skyclave this. At least it means if we kill the Skyclave, we can take out... We can go and get ourselves a 3/3, which is pretty big as creatures go in this sort of matchup. Werefox Bodyguard. Alright, they just want to get rid of our guy so we can't sacrifice it to the food chain in case we have the win. Sensible. So if we kill this, we do get our guy back. And that guy has a come into play ability, so that would be quite nice to do. So one more Lightning Bolt or one of our Furies. That's 4 cards in our deck that can get rid of that. Or flashing in an Ice-Fang and blocking. This game is probably going to get to quite low clocks on our times, I would imagine. Unless they just like absolutely body us. Being able to replay this Stoneforge again and again with Serra Paragon is pretty strong. Yep, so they can also deploy this Sash if that's what they want to do. I believe our opponent is heavily favoured to win this game now. A Misty Rainforest. Like, if we're just going to keep drawing lands, we're going to leave these in hand for the purposes of Brainstorm. Like, we're representing hardcast Force of Will over here. So it's not like we're just doing nothing. We obviously are doing nothing, but our opponent doesn't see it that way. We've got 3 cards in hand. We didn't play a land. We've got 5 mana up. Alright, here comes the Cauldron. There's not going to be much time left on this game. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We die next turn. How do we get around this? If we Fury, killing the Werefox Bodyguard, get back our Channeler, which then does something useful. Or we can just draw lands. Yikes. Yeah, our deck did not come together then. So, I would like a Fury for this matchup. That seems like quite a handy one. Magus of the Moon, surprisingly good against our opponent's deck, to be honest. I don't mind having some sort of Force of Vigor, Collector Ouphe type actions going on here. So these are all pretty reasonable. I don't really want to be playing Force of Wills in this matchup, I don't think. I think we just want to be smashing their bits and pieces. Do I want these Uros? They don't seem amazing into the white removal deck. Like, they are definitely a way that we can eventually win the game, though. And we'll trim on 1. Like, Endurance is something we can use as like just a body that's better than a lot of their bodies. And can ambush stuff. So maybe that's better than the Channeler and the Uro. I can buy that. Okay, we can keep this. We have to get a non-basic for this, though. Which is awkward. But we can then Questing Druid and get some joy. No 1-drop from our opponent is pretty reasonable news for us. Let's play this snow-covered island. So we have choices between Questing Druid and Ice-Fang. We kind of want to play the Ice-Fang around an Orcish Bowmasters. We need a red source. I guess it's going to be a Volcanic. Let's seek those beasts. That's a pretty poor hit, to be honest. Food chain. I can do something. We can send the Questing Druid on an adventure. Or we can play this Hydroid Krasis for 1 and draw no cards. So I think we're not doing anything with the Krasis. Do we want to leverage the card advantage from this right now? I think it's worth doing. Alright. So our opponent has an Orcish Bowmasters over there. I feel it in my bones. Which means we're supposed to ponder rather than brainstorm here. Yep, here it is. This is fine. I can live with this. We don't brainstorm there. Wowzers, trousers. That is some stuff right there. So I guess we just need more red mana. Let's go put this, then the Fury, then the Bolt. Alright, so next turn we can play Questing Druid, Bolt the Bowmasters if we want to. Bolt the army, it doesn't really matter. We've got a Bolt, we can point it somewhere. We have an emergency Fury. They didn't play a Wasteland, which makes me quite happy. Let's play this guy out. An Orcish Bowmasters. Where are you going to point this? That's our guy. We will. Lightning Bolt your Bowmasters. That will grow us outside of that ping, so our guy won't die. There's a very nice Fury to be had on this board, if we want it. A Plough. Sure, we're getting a little bit of life. A Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, we might need to Lightning Bolt and Fury next turn. We can Lightning Bolt, Fury, and Ice-Fang. Or we can Questing Druid, Lightning Bolt, Fury. That seems pretty good too. Right, Questing Druid, Fury. Now, what do we pitch here? So this represents our combo. So I think we're supposed to pitch the Fury here. Go 3 and 1 here. Clean those guys up. That goes away. We clean this guy up. No Cauldron for you. Oh, they got an Ephemerate? No, they're just fetching. They didn't plough anything in response. Okay, So we're one piece away from being able to win the game. Actually, no, we have the game won here, right? Alright, lightning bolt doesn't hurt, does it? Right, let's attack. And we'll just deploy this food chain holding up the lightning bolt. So we can go and get a Squee and make our guy infinitely large. And I hear infinite is pretty good. An Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. We can destroy this when the time comes. A wasteland, okay. Ooh, they're tapping it for mana rather than taking us off of a colour. Nope, okay, they've changed their mind. Have they worked out? Like, yeah, okay. We will take out their Bowmasters because that's the one that we want gone because it means our Ice-Fang is much better. We do have lethal damage next turn still because the Ice-Fang can turn into red mana. Round of the third path. Okay, we don't have lethal anymore. Understood. Get him for one. No, they're on chump block duty. Okay, let's draw a card here. A Squee. Oh, wow. Pretty close there, aren't we? All right, let's attack with our 5/5. Under the bus, their guy goes. Sure. Mother of Runes. Okay, that can be a problem soon. A Flicker Wisp. Are they going to flicker our Questing Druid and strip all the counters? They are. Oakley dokley. I don't think they're going to try and trade their Loran here. No, they decided they didn't want to do that. Good choice. Brainstorm. I would like to cast a Brainstorm, please. Food chain. We can make an infinitely large creature. Also, we can draw an additional card if we do that. No, we can't. No, we just have the combo sewn up here, right? If our opponent's got no mana over here, right? Okay. Go and get Volcanic's fine. Alright, let's sacrifice this. Let's cast this. We're drawing a card each. A lightning bolt, that's not helpful. Right, we're going to do this a few times, and then we're going to cast the Imperial Recruiter. And hopefully our opponent will scoop to that, otherwise we have to click through a bunch. Showing the Walking Ballista. If they want us to click through it, that's obviously on them, and you know, that's a fine choice to make. Alright, they've scooped up. Alright, so we're going to game 3 of this. Do we want to do anything differently now? I do like how the Channeler can bounce our stuff and go again. I think we're just going to go back in as is. Alright, we have 2 removal spells. That's what I want. An Aether Vial, sure. Would love to draw a land. We drew a land. So this becomes a Ponder. This becomes a basic island and we cast a Ponder. I like all of these cards in various ways. The Mountain's the least exciting one. So we'll put Druid on top and then Fury, so we'll get both of those. Next time we have access to Lightning Bolt. We've got these Furies, we can just kind of smash our opponents down with them. Alright, this isn't actually that annoying. It cuts us off of a spell, but I can live with that. You got Mother of Runes? No, okay, they're just testing us. Considering a few people are playing Stifle right now, I do like people doing the test with the Aether Vial. I'm going to tap us down. Aether Vial. Got some weird guy. Athalia, sure. That's kind of a weird guy. So we'll pass. We can Lightning Bolt if we need to. Another Aether Vial, sure. Okay, so we'll go and get a Volcanic here. We may as well prevent a little bit of damage for ourselves. They don't have Vial on 3 for Flicker Wisp shenanigans. No, we just want to keep making land drops here. That is the plan. So they can Bowmasters us here. Do I care if they Bowmasters? I don't. Okay, they don't have anything. Brainstorm, Questing Druid. Like, I'm not massively in love with this. I think we just want to go any order and shuffle, to be honest. I don't want to have to draw through all of that. Alright, so there's the second red source for our Fury. That's excellent. Okay. What have you got? A Stoneforge Mystic. Pretty good. Yeah. This could be a Cauldra. Maybe we should have cottoned onto that when they didn't Vial. When they didn't take up the Vial. Well, they had this. And we maybe should have kept hold of our Lightning Bolt rather than using on the Thalia. But the Thalia did let us do our pondering. Alright, here comes big Cauldra. We also bought out our Aether Channeler, which I'm now not very happy about. But we do win the game with a food chain, because we can pitch cast a Fury. Grafdigger's Cage. That only stops the Euro, that's fine. They've got a plough open, but we can beat plough. Force of Vigor. That's an interesting one here. Alright, so we'll play this one out. Are we just hard casting a Fury, or are we Questing Druid to try and win the game next turn? We could Questing Druid right now. That turns off our Force of Vigor as an option, though. Do we care about Force of Vigor? Is the next question. This on 3 could be an issue for us. A lot of tough choices now. I think we seek the beast here. Don't think we should play the land first. Right, there is the food chain that I wanted. So we can try and win the game now if our opponent will let us. Okay. Let's go for it. We can get Squee. Cast Squee. Now we just have to do a lot of clicking. I will update you when something changes, so I will cut to that. Alright, I'm putting a Walking Ballista on the stack. Here we go. Now we have to ping our opponent a bunch. We made it big enough so that we can play around the Swords to Plowshares. Alright, so we're just going to remove all these counters and ping our opponent down. Our opponent's probably just walked away from the computer at this point. Or doing something. They're F6 anyway. Alright, our opponent's scooped it up. So that puts us at 3-1 going to the final round. So we've already locked in the positive record, which is nice. And yeah, we did a lot of clicking. They were pretty red in the time there, but yeah, it's pretty nice. You can also see the use of Fury, being able to evoke it and just give yourself a big hit of mana and just go out of nowhere. So pretty exciting stuff. Let's go to the final round and see if we can get the 4-1. Our opening hand for the final round is not that exciting to me. If one of these lands was a blue card, I would keep this, but I don't think we can keep this. It's too slow to do anything. Yikes. This one is slow, but it has a plan. It's infinite mana on turn 4, but I think that might be too slow. Let's see what our opponent's up to over there. They've mulled to 6 as well. I think I would rather have a 5 than this, though. Yeah, okay. We got some ponders here. That can bail us out. So getting rid of a Channeler, and it's probably just one Ice-Fang here. We might have to get a basic island as well. Tropical Island. That doesn't tell me that much. Could be bug beans or something like that, which could be a problem for us. If they stifle this, though, we do lose the game, I reckon. Why would I speak that into existence? Why would I do that? Why would I say that? Unbelievable. Alright. But we need to get the ponder out, I think. Yikes. One absolute bodying. So few people running Stifle these days. It's normally like a 2 of in Grixis lists. At most. So I wasn't expecting it off of the trop. So we got absolutely bodied by it. If I hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have had it though. That's the way the world works. Alright. We're now probably just at the stage where we're trying to see what our opponent's playing so we can sideboard effectively. If we have to start discarding cards, like, are we discarding ponders? So that our opponent doesn't have any idea what we're doing. A wasteland. Alright, understood. A snow-covered mountain. Alright, I will play this. So, our opponent looks like they're running bug beans, but with stifles. So we're probably seeing an Orcish Bowmaster's come into play now and ping us for 1. Maybe they're on like a more tempo-oriented build. I'm just not sure why you would run the stifles when you can just run like Witherbloom command and stuff. I wonder what the stifle's for. Maybe it's to try and help versus the Goblin matchup for like Stifling a Muxus trigger or a Battlecry Goblin trigger. Interesting. You know, it's nice to see people trying different tools. I think the actual play you want against the Goblin decks out of the Bug Beans is the 3-mana Force, the black one that blows up all creatures that came to play this turn. That's really good. Okay. We'll see if our opponent wants to show us any more cards. If Thought sees us, we scoop. We don't want to show any more cards here. Hovering that concede button. Like 6/6 creatures are a little bit too big for us to handle. There's a 2-turn clock, so. Right, they're not going to show us anything else, are they? Okay. Well, yeah, so that was just basically just getting cheesed out there. So it happens. These Pyroblasts are good. The Magus is good. The Carpets might be pretty good here. The Veil, potentially. The Endurances. This whole suite of things is good. I don't think we want the Forces. I don't think we're about that. I regretted boarding out the Aether Channeler before, so we'll probably keep that. Is this a matchup we actually want Fury is the question. I don't think so. Like, they don't have many threats. It's just Orcish Bowmasters and some other stuff. Although Ice-Fang is pretty bad into Bowmasters, so maybe we do want another Fury. And trying a Ponder for that seems weird. I think we all want all of our combo pieces. I think we want our Channeler. Or do we want our Channeler? Resetting a Murktide is pretty big news for us, so I think we have to keep that. So we could trim on an Uro, or we could just trim on a Ponder. I think we do need to keep the Lightning Bolts, so we can kill the Orcish Bowmasters, and potentially Leovold. Leovold is kind of annoying with Walking Ballista. We should be able to just win the game with all the pings on the stack. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. At least we're going to have time this one. That was a very quick loss. It's one of those games. I've certainly been the person to cheese the people with Stifles. So I can't complain when it happens to me. If anything, I enjoyed it. There you go. Alright, this opening hand doesn't feel amazing, but we do have a Brainstorm and we're on the play, so we get to leverage that. I think we'll try that out. I think we'll play out a fetch still. At least our opponent doesn't really know what we're up to. A Ponder, sure. So we can Brainstorm in relative peace. Uros can be quite difficult for these decks to handle, so I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Let's do this before there's any Bowmasters in our presence. So I guess we get rid of one fetch, and is that it? Just get rid of the other fetch, the other land here, and just acceptable. We'll crack this for a basic island, so our Magus of the Moon is viable. Fury, a Brainstorm. I don't really want these cards. Like, we can Imperial Recruiter for Magus. That's kind of an interesting line. So maybe we put the Fury on the bottom, then the Brainstorm, then the Recruiter. So we can fetch, we can draw the Brainstorm, and then we can fetch Recruiter, try and get a Magus, and mess with them that way. A Bowmaster's ping us now. Don't really want this Brainstorm on top of our library, but maybe we'll find a use for it. We can always kill this Bowmasters down the line. So this will get us a basic forest, I believe. Alright, let's go and find a Magus and see if our opponent has a good time with that. It's a little bit telegraphed, but it should hopefully annoy our opponent. That's all I really want. Alright, so they can go fetch a basic here, but they're going to be down to one land of like the colours they actually use. Our Bowmasters. Alright, this is a really nice Fury we set up here. We'd quite like to draw another red card, so we don't have to use our Lightning Bolt. We know our opponent runs Daze, so another land is also good here. Not a land. Alright, I think it's the Fury first. Let's just clear these guys out. We could have played Food Chain first and then exiled this for some manas. That is an option that was available to us. We could play this Magus, not expecting it to really do very much. I think it's probably just going to eat a Daze. I think that's acceptable. Trade 1 for 1 and then stick an arrow. Whilst this is in play, our opponent's resources are somewhat diminished. They could just float black and then fatal push it. But again, that's resources that we're slowly grinding through. And hopefully Uro will go over the top of all that. Surgical Extract on that Ponder. No, it was on the Brainstorm. Okay. Bit awkward, but we're showing them an Uro. The Food Chain gives us the ability to get mana of any colour if something goes wrong, as it is often to do. Alright, so this is just going to be the fatal push like we said. It's annoying that that Surgical Extraction did hit a card in our hand. Alright, so it's a murderous card. Okay. So our plan now involves trying to win the game with an Uro. Okay, so it's going to be up the beanstalk. That's bad news for us. All of our opponents, like top end, is going to start cantripping as well. They take us off red here. It's pretty strong. Yeah, we're just going to get mana denied here. Or not, as the case may be. Do we want a blue source here? Like, we can go and get... We need something that casts an Uro. So it needs to be green or blue. We could get a Trop here, or we get Taiga, so we actually have red source. We don't have any red mana, right? We don't have any red cards, but we might draw one. So maybe we are supposed to get a Taiga here. It's bad if they get to recur this, is the only issue. I think this is fine. Can I have an Uro, please? Got Stifle. I can put our land in. That's pretty nice. So next turn we do have an Uro that we can play. So we're hoping they don't have another Surgical or a Snapcaster. I don't normally see them in Bug Beans decks. The card advantage comes from that Beanstalk. So we can jam an Uro. And then we're almost at playing another Uro if they kill this one. And they're not exiling stuff unless it's from our graveyard. Alright, so we're going to get a Trop here. Cast an Uro. Blue, green, blue, green. And we'll just get rid of some lands. We don't really want them to exile our creatures, actually. With a Surgical, we don't really care about our graveyard. Maybe we should have played the land first to play around days. That's certainly an option. Alright, we have an Uro. We can also refire it next turn if they have a kill spell for it. And if we get to attack with it, things start looking up for us. After what has been quite a difficult slog. Okay, so this is the Murktide Regent. But it's only going to be a 6/6, so it will trade with our Uro. But they will draw a card. So we attack, draw a card, eat their Murktide, replay Uro. That sounds good to me. Alright, they're not going for it. Interesting. So let's play a food chain. Alright, we're in with a food chain. What do we do with an Imperial Recruiter? We could bounce the Murktide Regent, if that's all we're worried about. Right, let's go and get basic out of our deck. So we've got Scalding Tarn left on the battlefield as well. We'll get an island here, and then this one can get us a Volcanic. It's a pretty good thing to stifle. Oh, Hydroblast. Okay. But we've still got the Uro crunching away. So our opponent can find something like a Mystic Sanctuary that can grow their Murktide to be big enough to eat the Uro. Or they could just counter it for a few turns and then play another Murktide and grow this one. Alright, so here's the Mystic Sanctuary to grow the Murktide, as we said they might do. This also puts the Lorien Veil back so they can draw a bunch of cards next turn. Alright, I think we still are firing with the Uro. We can draw Lightning Bolts, we can draw Fury, and we can finish off this Murktide Regent. We could draw a Walking Ballista even. Not how we drew up playing that card, but it is what it is. There's the Walking Ballista that I just mentioned, so that's something. We're going to attack with our Uro first. Why wouldn't we? We're going to leave this in our hand for brainstorm purposes. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe we should actually go and put it into play. But we can do that anyway. Let's refire this. Blue and green mana. So, what is our plan here? Do we wait till next turn to make a big ballista, or do we just finish off this Murktide right now? I think I'm going to play this carpet, and then next turn we can do a big ballista. I think we've got like one fetchable left in the deck. I think we've got one Trop. So we want to save for potential brainstorms. Alright, so this is just a big old refresh of our opponent's hand. Pretty strong. Alright, deck, what do you got for us? Another food chain. Not a great draw. Let's go attacks. Let's do this. Yes, I would like to add green mana to my mana pool, I believe. 1, 2, 3. Right, so we're going to cast this for a bunch. So we need to hold open 4 mana. So if we play this for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we have a Trop left in our deck. Let's play this big Walking Ballista. Let's finish off this Murktide. Let's crack this. Get this last Trop. And I think we'll fire this now while our opponent can't hardcast a Force of Will. We're making a go of it. Say goodbye to those cards. That will make Murktide more difficult to put into play. We have exactly lethal damage in play right now, because the Ballista can crack for 4 and then ping for 4. So we're kind of getting there. Fatal push on our Walking Ballista. Alright. We will ping our opponent for a bunch. This will also give us another card for Uro. Force of Vigor. Sure. We have food chains coming out the wazoo. That's not Wasteland. Be my guest, my mana base is fine. Alright, if that's the extent of our opponent's hand, I don't feel too bad about that. Right, let's fire in this Uro. Green, green, blue, blue. Get rid of the stuff we don't want them to. Surgical. Now, we could have left the Walking Ballista so that we could shuffle it in with our own endurance, but that's not really what this game is about at the moment. Right, so we'll go to attacks. Attack this. And then we can Questing Druid in our opponent's turn. Seek the Beast. We've got a lot of life for our opponent to work through as well. So if we're careful with our clock, we might be okay. Alright, they've had enough. We beat them with a fair plan. I don't want to do anything differently here. I don't think so. Just get in at them, really. Let's go. We basically just swapped our forces out for Veils and Pyroblasts, which I think is a good shout. I don't really like... Do I like the Ice-Fang? They're good against Murktide, but they're terrible against... Oh, no. I heard I like being stifled. Let's see if our opponent... Okay, they're not stifling us on turn 1, so we do get to fire off our Ponder. That brings me some amount of joy, at least. They chose not to shuffle with their Ponder. This has to be a basic. We know our opponent runs Wasteland. It is awkward. We found a land. We definitely want that. We have infinite mana, so we have our combo sewn up here. So I think we put the Ponder on the bottom, then the Squee, then the Misty Rainforest. So we can drop our Misty Rainforest and then try and play around the Bowmasters. They might just fire off for Bowmasters right away, just so we can't Ponder on our turn. Yeah, I think that's the correct play. So we don't really want this Ponder on top of our library anymore. So we will definitely be cracking this. Probably want to do it now to play around Stifle. So now I'll go to our opponent's turn. We can Seek the Beast. Wasteland will make me sad, but okay, no Wasteland. That's pretty big news for us. Up the Beanstalk. We don't really have an answer to that. That's not really what we're about. Let's hope our opponent doesn't have anything to go with this Beanstalk, like a Force of Will or something. Alright, let's Seek the Beast. How do you feel about this one? This is definitely worth counterspelling for our opponent. They agree. Okay, we very much need to hit a land. Let's see if we can. Not a fan of this, but here we go. This is a very obvious we need land. Seek the Beast. They got a Hydroblast? They do. That's a disaster, potentially. I think the actual play we should have done that turn was evoke the Fury, pitching the Squee, and then we can Brainstorm for free. I think that we made a mistake on that turn. And that might cost us the game. So you've got to have a look at a bunch more cards. Yeah, that was definitely an error there. It's still a lot of game to play, but that was a big one. It is 1:30 in the morning for me. This has been quite a long league. Okay. So let's evoke this Fury. Force of Will. That's an annoying one. If we cast Brainstorm here, I think we have to cast Brainstorm here. That makes me very sad. Our opponent's got a counterspell for this as well, and they got another Bowmasters. Yikes. So we could draw the Veil here, and that could stem the tide a little bit. We did not. We just drew some more Brainstorms. Yuck. So we're going to get pinged for 6 here, and then we're going to be dead. Yeah, we just got... our deck just kind of fell apart at the end there. It was our mana base that did us in. Like, we got hit by the Stifle in one game, and then we got hit by the not drawing the land, and then having the Bowmasters do stuff. I think misplaying with the Fury was definitely annoying. Like, we could have... Because Days obviously can't hit the Brainstorm in that situation, but maybe the Force of Will does work for them. So we might have still lost that one anyway, but I think we are pretty good into Bug Beans as a general rule. I think it was just our mana base. We basically got cheesed out twice. Obviously, our opponent's playing those cards in their deck, and that's definitely part of their strategy at times. That's why you run Stifles, because it sometimes does give you like a free win in situations like that. So nothing wrong with our opponent doing that, but it was just annoying from our perspective that it didn't quite get us there. So we finished with a 3-2, which I think brings my record with this deck in leagues now to, I think it's 16-4 over the course of the leagues I've played with this deck. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So yeah, this is pretty awesome deck still. Let's talk about it. So the one change we made for today was bringing in the Aether Channeler in the main and chucking one of the Furies to the board, and then removing a Veil to fit in the Fury. The Channeler was not something we ever reached for, and it was something that came up a couple of times and was okay. It was on the blue card for Force of Will, which felt fine, But there was definitely games where there's one game where we drew this instead of a Fury, and a Fury would have been the game. So that is definitely something to consider. I would be interested in trying out something like the Warhammer cards that aren't available online, like Zoanthrope and Morlock. And maybe that's what replaces the Channeler. Like a Morlock would probably be better a lot of the time. That feels like something that I would like access to. But otherwise, like, the deck performed pretty well. We made a little mistake in the last round that may have cost us. I'm not entirely sure though. But yeah, like, the removal sweep feels pretty good. We won games with a combo. We won games with a fair game. It just feels like it can do a lot, this deck. And I've been very impressed with it. And I'm still very happy that I've purchased this deck in paper. And maybe one day I'll get to play in a tournament and not have to click through the horrible loops with Feed Chain. But nevertheless, massive fan of this deck, and I hope you are too. I think we showcased a lot of what this deck can do and how it has quite a lot of branching decisions. And, you know, we had that really sweet game where we evoked that Fury to get the starting mana for our food chain and just went completely out of the park with it and won that one. So that was pretty good. Sideboard-wise, again, so last time I played this deck, I wasn't 100% sold on the carpets. Because we have 4 basic lands in our deck, we can relatively well play around that sort of thing. But in that last matchup, like, the carpet is something that could have helped us out in that situation where we're getting sort of hit by the wastelands and the stifles and things like that. So that is something to consider. Maybe we don't get rid of that and we just leave it in there as is. But maybe I do want the Fury back in the main for when I'm playing online. It feels with lots of goblins and things running around it is really important. But maybe having the flex of a Channeler is going to be useful sometimes. But maybe that's a sideboard card and we want the Channeler in the board. That's something to think about. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out today. Like, the matchups we lost felt like ones we could win. If we look at our results, 1-2, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 2-1. So we're in the games all the time. And, like, the 2 we lost against the last deck were where we got a little bit sort of cheesed out with our own mana base. And against the mono red deck, we just kind of didn't hit into the things we needed. Whereas against the goblins, which is a much more aggressive deck, and basically the goblins is kind of better than mono red against what we're trying to do in a lot of ways, because we ignore Blood Moon relatively well, and if they're not putting as much pressure on, that's good for us, whereas goblins is pressure, pressure, pressure. So we kind of board the same in both matchups, more or less. And if we were to play that mono red matchup a few more times, I'd be quite happy, and I would imagine we would come out on top more often than not. So the ones we lost didn't feel like the matchups were horrible. It just felt like it didn't quite go for us. It feels like we have game into most things, like Force of Will, Lightning Bolt decks kind of get to do that, I suppose, especially when you have a combo finish, so you can just kind of go, nope, we win the game. There was a touch of awkwardness where we drew like all the food chains in one game, but we did win that game, I think. But there's definitely a concern with this, but that's the nature of these decks sometimes. The rest of our combo is like pretty like redundant. Like Recruiter, if you're not comboing, can do some other stuff. You know, it can find you some card advantage or a silver bullet or just, you know, whatever. So this combo piece has a lot of flexibility to not be a combo piece. Squee is better than you'd think it would be sometimes. Like, just playing it over and over again to block opposing creatures is, you know, it kept us in a game that we won. So that's definitely something that makes it feel not so bad to have in your deck. Walking Ballista obviously is a removal spell, can ping some stuff down. Hydroid Krasis, blue card, pitches to Force of Will, and, you know, you can just put some mana into this and draw some cards, and that's fine too. And it's a flyer, so it can block some Murktide's Return if you need some help. So it just seems like, for a combo deck, we only have 4 cards that aren't good on their own. And those are the ones that basically let us win the game. But even if we don't have our whole combo, we can still, like, you know, do a Fury and then sack it and gain a load of mana and do a couple of other things, even if it's not winning the game. It's a massive leap that it gives us. So yeah, I'm very impressed with this deck still, and I will play it relatively regularly, like once every like 3-4 weeks roughly, because it's a deck I have in paper and I would like to play it. Obviously, the more donation decks I'm getting, the less I get to play the things that I want to play for myself. But you know, got to buy food to eat, so if people want to pay me for donation decks, I'm more than happy to do it. And if you would like a donation deck as well, get in touch with Discord or put it in the comments here, or you can go to my Patreon, and then there's a tier of that that just gives you regular donation decks to the channel. So, you know, if you want to support me that way, that's brilliant. But just keep watching the content, like, subscribe, share it with anyone you know. And we're nearing in on 2,500 subscribers. So thank you all so much for doing that for me. I think if we hit it before my birthday in April, I will give out some extra free donation decks on my Patreon to people who are sub to any of my tiers on my paid tiers. So if you want to support me for just like $2 a month, you get enrolled into that too. All right, enough plugging. I'm tired and need to go to bed. Thank you so much for joining me again for some wonderful rug food chain action. And goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.